Good evening. Welcome to the Pinole Planning Commission meeting scheduled on February 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. This meeting is being held at the Pinole City Council chambers at 2131 Pear Street and also via Zoom teleconference and live stream on the city's website. The public may attend this meeting at the Pinole City Council chambers and fill out a yellow public comment card to submit a public comment to city staff. Members of the public may also submit a live remote public comment using the Zoom video conference platform. You can use the Zoom conference platform on your device of choice or your desktop computer, and you can test your connection prior to joining the meeting. Or you may also join the meeting directly by using the webinar ID 865-0537-5301 or by dialing 669-900-6833 or 253-215-8782 or 346-248-7799. Speakers will be asked to provide their name and city of residence, although providing this is not required for participation. Each speaker will be afforded up to 5 minutes to speak. Speakers will be muted until their opportunity to provide public comment. When the chair opens the comment period for the item you wish to speak upon, please use the raise hand feature or press star 9 if connecting via telephone, which will alert city staff that you would like to provide a comment, then press star 6 to unmute. If you'd like to comment with your video enabled, please let city staff know that you would like to have your camera turned on once you are called on to speak. Written comments can also be submitted to the planning staff before this meeting at dhanham@pinole.gov. Please include your full name, city of residence, and the agenda item that you are commenting on. There are other ways to watch this meeting live on live on Pinole TV channel 26. They are telecast the following week. The community TV channel 26 schedule is available on the city's website. This meeting is also being live streamed on the city's website at www.pinole.gov and will be archived on the site for 5 years. If none of these options are available to you or need assistance with public comment, please contact Planning Manager David Hannum at 510-724-8912 or dhanham@pinole.gov. In compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, if you need special assistance to participate in a city meeting or if you need a copy of the agenda packet in an appropriate format, please contact the city clerk's office at 510-724-8928. Notification of at least 48 hours prior to the meeting or time when services are needed will assist city staff in ensuring that reasonable arrangements can be made to provide accessibility to the meeting or service. Please note that staff reports are available for inspection at the city's website at www.pinole.gov. You may also contact the city clerk via email at hbll@pinole.gov. Citizen participation. Persons wishing to speak on an item listed on the agenda may do so when the chair asks for comments in favor or in opposition to the item under consideration. After all those persons wishing to speak have done so, the hearing will be closed and the matter will be discussed amongst the commission prior to rendering a decision. Any person may appeal an action of the Planning Commission or the Planning Manager by filing an appeal with the City Clerk in writing within 10 days of such action. Following a public hearing, the City Council may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the Planning Manager. The cost to appeal decision is $500 with a minimum $2,500 deposit fee. Please note, if you challenge a decision of the Commission regarding a project in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in writing delivered to the City of Pinole at or prior to the public hearing. The Ralph M. Brown Act, Government Code 54950. In enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards, and councils, and the other public agencies in the state exists to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law and that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of the state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give the public servants the right to know what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments that they have created. And with that, this meeting will be called to order. All those willing and able to, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Ohlone people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Ohlone elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Ohlone land, the land that Pinole sits upon, their home. We're proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Ohlone community to their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Thank you. And Planning Manager Hannum, could we please have a roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Uch,
Present.
Commissioner Huey,
Present.
Commissioner Lamb Julian,
Present.
Commissioner Martinez, he's absent, he's excused. Commissioner Bender,
Present.
Vice Chair Menes.
Present, and noting for the record that I sent out my usual ex parte communication to my email list about this meeting. I'll be basically reading that out during communications later. And that the reason why I'm wearing this mask is because I may have been exposed to the flu virus, so I wish to protect my fellow commissioners.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Chair Sandoval.
Present.
Let the record state we have a quorum for tonight's meeting, so we can take action on all agenda items tonight.
Thank you. Our next item is citizens to be heard. The public may address the Plan Commission on items that are within its jurisdiction and not otherwise listed on the agenda. Plan Commissioners may discuss the matter brought to their attention, but by state law, the Ralph M. Braun Act, action must be deferred to a future meeting. Time allowed is 5 minutes. Do we have any citizens to be heard?
There is no one online at the moment.
Sounds good. I'll give it a little bit longer. And no comments.
No comments.
Sounds good. And we will move on to our next item, the meeting minutes. And we have the Planning Commission meeting minutes for February 9th, 2026. Does anyone on the commission have any comments or corrections on the minutes? Yes, Vice Chair Menes.
Yes, on page 5 of the minutes, page 9 of the agenda packet, line number 25, it notes for the update, the motion was by Menes and the second was by Menes. I'm pretty sure the second was by someone other than me. Does anyone recall who it was exactly?
It might have been the motion. The motion, I think, was made, could have been made by Chair Sandoval. Or did you make the motion? Are you sure you made the motion?
Yeah, I did catch that. I don't remember if I made the motion, if I made the second.
We'll follow up
Because
with
for
that.
the second thing, there was a motion and second Sandoval Bender, but for the first one, it's motion Menes and second Menes, and obviously that's not how it works.
Yeah, so we'll go back and we'll make that change.
Okay, just wanted to highlight that.
Any other comments or concerns on the minutes? So just for clarification, would we still approve the minutes tonight, or we would have to bring them back?
You can approve them tonight. We'll just make the change. Staff will let you know what we did on that.
All right, in that case, I'll move approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Pinole Planning Commission for February 9th, 2026, subject to staff modification of the one line previously mentioned.
I will second that. Planning Manager Hannon, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Huey,
Yes.
Commissioner Uch,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb Julian,
Abstain.
Commissioner Bender,
Yes.
Vice Chair Menes,
Yes,
Chair Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0-1 with one abstention.
Thank you. And our next item is our public hearings. At the beginning of the item, the chair will read the description of that item as stated on the agenda. Then city staff will then give a brief presentation on the proposed project. The commission may then ask staff questions about the item. For those items listed as public hearing, the chair will open the public hearing and ask the applicant if they would like to make a presentation. Those in favor of the project will be given an opportunity to speak, followed by those who are opposed. An applicant will then be given an opportunity for a rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed, and the commission may discuss the item amongst themselves and ask questions to staff. Questions of staff. The commission will then vote to approve, deny, or approve in a modified form, or continue the matter for a later date for a decision. The chair will announce the commission's decision and advise the audience of the appeal procedure. Please note, no public hearings will begin after 11 p.m. Any items still remaining on the calendar will be pushed to the next meeting. And it looks like we do have one public hearing tonight, Uptown Yard Conditional Use Permit 1909 and DR 19-14 Use Permit Review and Modification. Planning Manager Hinham, do you have a presentation for us?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just kind of give everybody some background. In 2019, Raquel Contreras, owner of Uptown Yards, applied for a comprehensive design review and a conditional use permit for the establishment of, at that point, it was Casa Amada, otherwise known as Uptown Yard, located at 2337 San Pablo Avenue. The purpose was to create, or is to create, an outdoor seating area, general vendors and food vendors on approximately 4,140 square foot lot. The project is located within the 3-corridor specific plan within the San Pablo Avenue corridor. The property is located within the Old Town sub-area and is zoned commercial mixed use. The use is permitted within the district. Just to orient everybody with the surrounding areas, to the north, we have the existing commercial developments, Bear Claw, Tina's. To the south is a parking lot with the existing commercial development. To the east is existing commercial development, and to the west, a vacant lot, which is basically community, what we know as Community Corner. The Planning Commission at its regular meeting on October 27, 2020, adopted Resolution 20-01, approving findings and conditions for a comprehensive design review and conditional use permit for the creation of Uptown Yard. Staff has attached the original staff report, so you can kind of see what was approved as part of the original approval, and as well as part of the site plans that was actually approved.
Interrupting, Planning Manager Hannah, but do you have slides associated with this? Because I see an image of one slide on the screen.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, just wanted to check and make sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we'll get there. So, and the reason why we're here is pursuant to condition 43 of the approved conditions of conditions of approval, which states these conditions of approval shall be brought back for review before the Planning Commission in 1 year to review the adequacy of the conditional use permit and any possible modifications. And kind of give you, we're in 2026, however, the first couple of years was fairly slow. We were during the COVID pandemic. So there wasn't really a lot to report on. So it's really been the last probably 2 or 3 years that the yard has been active in terms of events and vendors and that. And so now we thought it'd be appropriate to bring back to the commission to review as necessary. The owner wanted to make some changes to the project as well, which she's included as part of the attachments of the project, of the events. And so we'll go over those as well. As part of the review and analysis portion, as part of the approval of the project, the Planning Commission adopted findings for the design review and conditional use permit. The design review component of the project required that the Planning Commission approve 4 findings. The conditional use permit component also required the Planning Commission to approve 4 findings. For this action tonight, though, the Planning Commission will only be reviewing the operation of the use of compliance with the approved conditional use permit. However, the applicant did propose a change to the site plan of what was originally approved in 2020. However, the commission does have the right at tonight's meeting to approve that modification if it so desires. And that is part of your attachments, in tonight's package. So just kind of go over kind of the findings and that and conditions that were made as part of the original project, and if they comply and are still applicable for tonight's action. Basically, the conditional use permits findings, which is basically number 1, the proposed use of consistent with the general plan. Staff review, the subject property is consistent with the general plan and the 3-corridor specific plan. Uptown Yard provides space for retail food vendor use. Both of the uses, again, are permitted. The selling of alcohol requires a conditional use permit. However, Uptown Yard does not have a liquor license. It says it does in staff, but it does not. In most cases, if alcohol is to be sold, it is by vendors of the event. So she has a specific event, or they bring alcohol in as a special event. But Raquel doesn't have the ability to just sell alcohol on her site. If that was something that she wanted to modify, she could come back and go through the alcohol sales part of the conditional use permit process, and we would come back and do the whole public convenience necessity and all that as well. Staff determined that this finding is still being met. Number 2, the establishment and maintenance of our operation of the use applied will not, under the circumstances of a particular case based off the location, size, design, and operating characteristics of the site, be detrimental to the healthy, safety, peace, morals. Uptown Yard has not been a detrimental to the health, safety, peace, and moral comfort or general welfare of the persons. Staff has conducted site inspections of events and have found that they are operating within compliance of the conditions of approval. Staff has determined that this finding is currently being met. Item number 3, the site of the proposed use is physically suitable for the type of density and intensity of the use. Staff has reviewed the site is physically suitable for the requested addition of an auxiliary amount of beer and wine sales for off-site consumption. If so, to do that, the Uptown Yard also occupies a footprint of 4140 square feet, and the entire property encompasses events using benches and as well as having vendor spaces. The continued operation of this event center with strict adherence to the imposed conditions, proper management, and supervision will continue to provide a positive environment that is beneficial, convenient, and necessary for the community. And as a result, the proposed use will not require physical alterations of the applicant's property, and no additional construction at least is being proposed at this time. Basically, staff has determined that this finding has also been met, and it was met back in 2020, and it's continuing to be met. As part of finding number 4, where it will not be contrary to the specific intent clauses for development regulations or performance standards for the zoning district in which it is located, the proposed use and related structures are compatible with other land uses, transportation, and services. Uptown Yard is located in the commercial mixed use zoning district. Per the 3-corridor specific plan, sites in the CMU zoning are intended to integrate retail and service commercial uses. This use of Uptown Yard is predominantly retail with small entertainment venues and food vendors meetings the needs of both residents and capturing business from travelers on nearby the Highway 80 freeway, as well as with the farmers market. The applicant's business is aimed at both functions. Staff has determined that this finding has been currently met. So now we get to the conditions of approval. The conditions of approval, there were 43 original conditions of approval. And as stated above, this section, they are part of attachment A of this resolution 2001 exhibit A for compliance. So what staff did is I broke it up into 3 kind of categories. One, the compliant conditions. So the conditions that have been the use has been compliant. Compliant with conditions with some minor issues. So these are conditions that have either been recommended to change by the applicant or has been commented to me that needs to be taken a look at as part of the review process. And then non-compliant conditions. At this point, she's not there are really no conditions that are in non-compliant status. I mean, she's not violating any of the conditions, at least at this point, that we've seen, that we've reviewed, that we watched the event. So staff feels that if we have the modifications with the minor conditions with the minor issues and we correct those, then I think everything will work out just well. So as part of table 1. And we can, Dave, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So again, this is more of the newer version of the site plan. This is the smaller version, which is very similar to the original site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission with 4 vendor sites, except she has all 4 vendor sites on the back wall. She's got the benches and the tables to the south or to the. Yeah, that'd be to the west of the project, and then an existing structure, the trash enclosures, which are already there, as well as the entrances and that. So that's kind of what it looks like today when vendor setups are, or at least was approved back in 2020. So, Dave, you go to the next slide. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've gone through. These are the conditions that have been what we're considering. We're considering conditions with minor issues. So this was one of the conditions that, in terms of the schedule, and I didn't include the big on this slide. I didn't include the actual condition. It would have taken up 4 or 5 slides. So basically, in your staff report, starting on page 14 to page 15, 14, 15, and 16, I think. It only goes to 16, this first condition. Yeah, 16. So it's basically condition number 5, which is the schedule. the staff report or the schedule of the process. If you looked on the conditions portion side, that was the original conditions. So the original conditions was part of the food vendor hours. Hours may be changed. Themes and times of different events that were at that particular time to be used as part of what they were looking at that particular time to do, as well as what special events or the one-time or limited uses. And so basically what I've done is the new condition, what I've done is I've pretty much have kept the events. I was going to modify it, but I just wanted to keep the events in there anyway, because I felt that if there are these particular events that come through, they're already added. We don't have to come back to the staff and come back every time. So basically what I looked at is, and this is as part of this particular modification, was the food, the hours and the food vendors and the trucks and the mobile food or the food truck vendors. So because those are the two type of vendors that this complex has. In most cases, it's either vendors who come out and sell their wares, jewelry, plants, that kind of stuff, or food, which either they operate out of booths, or food trucks have been able to come in basically on special events. And so basically what we've done is amended the food booth hours or food vendors booths and I'm also including non-food vendors that they're able to operate between Monday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Food truck vendors, the city does not have an ordinance that allows for food trucks at this time. And so I have to be very careful on what I can allow and what I can't allow as part of that process. And I know that's something that Raquel and I have talked about over and over again. And I know the city has been kind of silent on that, but we could be looking at some ordinance in the future, which might be able to, do an amendment to this later on. But for today's action, the food truck vendors, again, we modified it only during events and the Saturday's farmers market with no more than 2 trucks. The food trucks must have permission from the farmers market's management to operate. And the reason why is because we're requiring that all the food trucks must be in the adjacent parking lots. And so on Saturdays, of course, we know the farmers market is there from like 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so during that time, that's kind of, they kind of own that area. And so if Raquel has an event that not interferes, but is also as part of the food truck, that I want to make sure the farmers market understands and allows for those food trucks, because they have the precedent of the parking lot during that time. The trucks must only be in the adjacent parking lots, not on the city right of way, meaning on San Pablo, or Community Corner, which is of course Community Corner, which is a city-owned lot, unless approved by the city 7 business days before the event. So if, for example, that Raquel she wants to use Community Corner for some way or something, for a truck or whatever, that she would have to come to the city 7 days before the event and get an approval from the city to do that. So basically you would have to, send, what the event is and move forward with that. So that's condition number 5. So, and I know we'll go over these. If the commission would like, if you wanted to answer the questions now, or you don't wait till we go through each condition, it's up to you how you want to handle it at this point.
Yeah. Are there any questions on this specific condition, or would we just like to go through them all at the end?
I think it will be preferable to go through them all at the end. That way there's not broken up questions.
Okay, sounds good. We can move forward with the presentation.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to the next slide, Dave. So condition number 6. So basically there was a number of vendors. That was no more than 4 food vendors shall be hosted on site at the same time. So we've increased that to, because of the vendor space that she's recommending to do this time, the city's upped that to 7 food and non-food truck vendors site. All vendors shall have contra costi of perceptible booths. So this is just for if she wants to have an event that has food, she can have up to seven food and non-food truck vendors. And then all of it. Now she can the retail component. She can have, if she doesn't do food, she can already have as many booths as the lot will hold. Mainly because retail is a permitted use within the zone district and is part of the project. So I'm not too worried about the vendors per se, but I'm really looking at the food vendors, and this is what this condition was really about, was talking about the food vendors at the same time. So, okay. We'll go to the next condition, which is condition 8. So this is the use and design modification condition. The owner shall submit any proposed modifications to the site design or use, including days and times of events, to the planning manager for consideration. The planning manager shall determine whether the project should be brought to the planning commission. We've kind of modified that to basically say that the owner shall submit any proposed modifications to the site design or use. And that the community development director or their designee shall determine whether the project should be brought back to the planning commission for future consideration. So this is just really based on the actual site plan, similar to what you have tonight in terms of the site plan and the use. And so including days and times, we're including, because condition number 5 pretty much handles the schedule. And so that really didn't, if she wanted to come back to do that, she would amend that condition, not this condition. So we took that part out. However, we left in the modifications to like the site. So if she needs more vendor spaces, if she wants permanent vendors on the site, then she would have to come back to the commission for that consideration. Okay. So we go to the next condition, condition 15. Okay, so this is the existing condition, which basically says the site may have live music no more than 30 days per year with no more than 3 days per month, and only within the following time frames, which was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much from 5 p.m. To 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Saturdays, Sundays 12 to 9 or 12 to 8. So if you go to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So what we've done is that we've kind of modified this. The site may have live music no more than 36 days a year, so we've increased it 6 days with no more than 3 days per month. There should be no live music during the city-sponsored events located at Community Corner, i.e. Christmas tree lighting, Earth Day, Juneteenth, unless Uptown Yard is part of the city-sponsored event. And if these conditions are violated, it could cause a revocation of the permit. But we did include the schedule for that. So our acoustic music schedule was Wednesday, Thursday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., Friday through Sunday, 11 p.m. to 9 p.m., and of course, amplified music Friday through Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. So we approved the hours. We just if there are city events, we need to make sure that the city events will take precedent over anything that's over there at that point, unless Uptown Yard is part of that event. So, and that's something that you'd work out with community services. If you're part of that event, then that's a whole different story. So we go to the next condition, or next slide, Dave. Thank you. Music, amplified music. No amplified music shall be played on site without prior approval from the Development Services Department. We've kind of modified this a little bit. One, because we've changed departments since we had this. We were Development Services when it was originally approved, and now we're in community development. The new condition is that there shall be no amplified music during city-sponsored community corner events. All amplified music events that are scheduled outside of the city-sponsored events on community corners must be reviewed and approved by the community development director or their designee by 7 business days before the event. If the amplified music event is not approved, it will lead to revocation of the conditional use permit. So basically what we're saying is that they do have a schedule for amplified music. This is just saying that we need to know when they are going to do amplified music, because not to say that the amplified music is bad, it's just we normally get comments and we'd like to have that in advance, know that in advance when you're doing amplified. Acoustic is a little different. It's not, but once you just put that little amplifier in there, it radiates through the whole downtown and all that. So so that's what we've done with this condition to modify this condition. If we go to the next slide. Okay, condition 20 is vendor, artist, and other setup. The original condition is the owner, vendor, artist, other parties setting up booths, furniture, and other items shall access the site from adjacent parking lot. So pretty much the owners, vendors, and artists, same type of thing. There shall be no booths, furniture, or other items on parcels adjacent to Uptown Yard property unless approved by the city. So everything has got to be contained within, and of course you're aware of this. Everything's got to be contained within your yard. The site access will be accessed from the adjacent parking lot only. And there's no storage or materials merchandise on any adjacent lots. All access materials for events shall be stored off-site. So it's very similar. All we did was we added the part that if you're expanding into the community corner or anywhere else, that we just need to know 7 days before the event. If you're operating within your yard, then there's really no need for additional notice to the city. So that's the modification we made to that condition. Next slide, please. Questions and answers. So those were the only conditions that we had modifications to. The rest of the conditions we felt the Uptown Yard was in compliance with. We did receive, and you have in your staff report, a request for modification to the conditional use permit from Uptown Yard, as well as the new site plan that they are proposing to do as part of the Saturday vendor setup and the marketplace workshops. So you have a copy of that as well. And so with that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2603, approve the review for the conditional use permit. Was it 1909? Was the conditional use permit 1906? 1909, to allow Uptown Yard to continue operation. Condition number 43, I will say this, I didn't modify it. Condition 43 states that it needs to come back to the commission after 1 year. Come back to the commission, that's still in effect. So, however, if the commission wishes to extend that 2, 3, 5 years, that's up to the commission. But if not, then it would come back next year for review as well. However, just to let you know, the applicant can bring it, if the applicant proposes modifications or they want to propose it, they can bring it back for review at their expense and their costs and all that. So they can always do that. But from you reviewing it, you can add on years if you'd like, 1 to 3, 1, 3, 5, whatever you want to do. So with that, staff, that's the end of staff's presentation. And if you have any questions or answers, or any questions, be happy to answer them. And our applicant is here tonight, so if you have any questions of Raquel, she's here to answer any questions. So,
Thank you for the presentation, Planning Manager Hannum. We will now move to questions from the commission to staff. I will start to my right with Commissioner Bender. Do you have any questions for staff on this item?
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Uch.
No questions, but I do have comments for later.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll move on to Commissioner Lamb Julian.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Huey.
No questions.
Thank you. Vice Chair Menace.
I have a few questions. So, first off, the information in the presentation was helpful, but I don't see it anywhere in the agenda packet. Was it just not available prior to the time of this meeting?
in terms of,
what staff recommends the conditions actually be amended to, because ordinarily when we're seeing conditions of approval in our packet, like Exhibit A here,
right.
it's going to have the text that we want to change to. And here, that's not the case. It's just the original text.
No, it is the original, because we knew if there were any modifications, if the commission wanted to keep the conditions as they were, then they could keep them the way they were as per the project. So because you haven't made a decision, the conditions will be changed as part of the amendment process. So that's why you have the set of conditions of approval. These are only recommendations from staff, so that's why they're not in the resolution. Those were actually approved by the commission as part of the original approval.
Right, though I think that's more the earlier batch of conditions of approval. But setting that aside for a moment, going back to the staff report. So table number 1, the conditions of approval needing modifications. I guess this is where my question really is. So starting on page 14 of the agenda packet and continuing through to page 17. You've got the existing condition, you have the issue, and then you have modification of condition. And the modification of condition is less clear than the presentation and sometimes differs from it. Like, for example, for condition number 23 and condition number 25, you have notes that there are modifications needed, but those weren't addressed during the presentation, if I recall correctly.
23 and 25. Yeah, those conditions, those actually are more administrative than they are structural for the, now that, because when I went back through those are more, especially 25 regarding health permits and business licenses and that's just more of an administrative thing that I have to correct with, because they have to have all the permits and conditions as part of their project. So I want to cross out those two because they're more administrative and not necessarily because they still have to do all that. They still have to do that part of the condition. So yeah, so I apologize for that. Those conditions shouldn't have been modified.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're saying that you're suggesting the commission not modify condition 23 or condition 25
Yes.
tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Then, for condition number 6, the number of vendors, and if you could go back to the relevant slide.
Sure. Condition 6, Dave. There we go. Oop, there we go.
Yeah. The phrase non-food truck vendors is unclear to me. Does it mean trucks that do not have food in them? Does it mean food vendors that are not in trucks?
As food vendors is basically not in trucks. So basically, if restaurants like 812, like there are restaurants from 812 that they would be. That's what that means. So I tried to use that as just I didn't want to say restaurants because they're not necessarily restaurants. It could be, any food vendor that's not. So that's why it's just non-food truck. So I wanted
Would
to
it
just
be
say
possible to rephrase that as
Sure.
there shall be no more than 7 food vendors, parentheses, whether or not having food trucks or something along those lines, just to be clearer?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can, there should be, or we can just say there shall be no more than 7 food vendors on site.
My question there is, what happens if 7 food trucks want to show up at the same time?
Well, they would be off-site. They'd technically be in the parking lot. They'd be off-site. So they would be able to get their foods off-site and bring it in and sit down and eat, but they wouldn't be considered an on-site food vendor.
All right, moving on to condition number 16, and if we could go to that slide as well. So the last sentence in the new condition, it says, if the amplified music event is not approved, it will lead to the revocation of the conditional use permit. Now, I think your intent there is to say, if you hold an event without checking with us first, we revoke the permit. But if I'm reading it right, and this is why I have a question, it looks to me like it's saying, if you deny approval for an event, it will lead to the revocation of the conditional use permit, regardless of whether the event happens or not.
No, basically it is if they have amplified music and we don't know about it or wasn't approved before the event, that's that's what it is. So we need to make sure that if they're having amplified music, that we know it 7 business days before the event.
Would it be possible to change the wording there slightly to say if there is an unapproved amplified music event, rather than if the amplified music event is not approved?
Sure, if that's the will of the commission. Sure.
Just raising that as a question. That'll come up later, and I'll make that a note
Okay.
so that I don't forget. Okay, so now moving on to the conditions of approval themselves. So pages 24 through 40 of the agenda packet. A fair number of these questions were already addressed by the presentation, but I think there's one or two that haven't been.
Okay.
I guess sort of falling back to condition number 15 again. So the live music schedule on page 31.
Okay.
And I know that the plan is basically to merge that with condition 16 and adjust the amplified and live music requirements. I guess I'm wondering if staff could go a bit more into detail about the shift in reasoning here from, no more than 3 days per month within the following timeframes to, and if we could go back to the relevant modification slide there for the
Conditions, what is it, condition 15, Dave?
condition 15, yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
And then,
Go to the next pin. Perfect, okay.
right. So that's a substantial modification to the
time.
Yeah, the time for acoustic music in particular. And I recognize, of course, that amplified music is going to have a much greater impact
Right.
than acoustic, but I just would like if staff could go into a bit more detail as to the reasoning for those times.
Well, I think that on the Fridays and Saturdays, it was to be able to include the farmers market. So if there was acoustical, because they start at 8 or 9 o'clock. So if they wanted to come in at 11 and play like 11 to 2 or some, people can enjoy the music. And again, it was just to allow the yards some additional time for those, and it was requested by the applicant to expand her music times. So that's what we took a look at. And from the Friday through Sunday is mainly for, and I'm assuming it's mainly for the farmers market. However, when there are events or special events that they have on, during the week, it could be, it could be a special event for a party, and they do just an after lunch thing from 1 to 3, and want to maybe have some music or something during the summer or during a nice day. They have the ability to do that. So it's just to allow them to expand that offering a little bit more than what we had it for. And we haven't had any issues with the acoustic music schedule or them playing acoustical music. So at least at this point. And the other thing was that since we're also kind of limiting it, that if we had sponsored events, that that music wouldn't really be allowed at that particular point, we decided that we would kind of expand it a little bit and give them the opportunity on other days. So and then we wanted to make sure that there were some days of the week where there was no music being played. So basically Monday and Tuesday. So those would be days off for at least for the acoustic. For amplified, it's just Friday through Sunday. We didn't change that at all. We just changed a little bit of the time, I think.
Right. I don't have any questions about the amplified music schedule. Those times and days seem broadly reasonable.
Yeah.
On page 32 of the agenda packet, 9 of 17 of the conditions of approval Condition number 18. It says owner shall ensure lighting is available on site during late afternoon to evening hours if the entire lot has adequate lighting. Do we have a definition for adequate lighting, or is this one of those conditions that's allowed to be more subjective?
This is one of those items that needs to be more subjective because depending on the lighting that is involved with the event, we want to make sure they have some lighting there, so it gives them the alternative of whatever style they need, whether they want to bring in a couple of lights or they want to bring in lights on a string, or if they want to buy. So it's just as long as it's adequate, and it just gives them flexibility in terms of lighting, but they need it. So if they need to have it, it's got to be adequate. People have to be able to see and that. So we were just and we wanted to make sure, especially if they were doing events at night. I mean, if they bring in stanchions, to make sure if they do bring in some stanchions for some lights, that they shield them down. And so there were other requirements. So it was mainly just to make sure they had lighting in the nighttime events, and then gave them some flexibility on of what kind of lighting would be needed or can be used.
All right, I think that's all my questions for staff at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Vice Chair Menace. I did have some questions for staff. On condition number 5, it looks like we're just updating the schedule from being just the more broken schedule to something that's just a bit more congruent to allow for flexibility on the operation.
Pretty much, yeah. And we just didn't want to take away anything of the events, because those are events that might be had, but we just want to make sure we had the time. The times are usually what happens here. So, and based on use that we've seen out there with the food vendors, it's just food vendors and some I'll just say retail vendors. So it hasn't really been. We just wanted to make sure they had a little more time, and we wanted to monitor to make sure the food trucks were, again, because we don't have an ordinance, so we'd have to be very limited on how they are used.
Okay.
In this area.
Thank you. And then a follow up to that: were the lead times also set by staff, or were those also adequate as well?
The times were actually proposed by the applicant. However, what we did was we took a look at some of the events and what has happened. And we felt that in terms of the times that it would be okay. We didn't have really many issues. She doesn't really have it really. Most of the events are in the afternoon anyway. They're not so much in the morning. But what it does is by having that morning 9 a.m., it does give them time to get in there, get set up for the afternoon and that. So we kind of took out the hour of, before with daylight savings and that, we just expanded the hours to the 9 to 9. So that should cover everything they need for setups and takedowns and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. I think my question was a little bit more about like the lead times for staff, like some of these things will require 7 days in advance, and I was just wondering if that's adequate time for staff to review, or if that was set by staff, or.
Yeah, we took a look at that. I met with both the community development director, the community services director, by putting that, and that was something that they wanted. That's why we put 7 business days instead of 7 days. So it kind of bleeds into the next week a little bit in terms of business days. So they felt that was enough. They wanted to do 10. I kind of backed them off and said 7 should be enough for us to review it. And I'm probably going to be the one that's going to be reviewing it anyway in most cases. So because I know about the event center and how it works, it's not going to take me 7 business days to do it. But we wanted to make sure that, because we don't want to get caught in some of these events, we got caught short where, it's kind of happened, or we've only had a day to review, or, and not to say that we were going to deny anything, but it's just, we do need some time for it to be reviewed.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to check in to see if there was enough time for staff to review that.
Yeah, that's enough time.
Okay, perfect. And then I did have another question. You had mentioned in the presentation that food trucks are allowed per the city ordinances. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
They're not allowed.
They're just not allowed.
They're only allowed in coordination with special events. So, i.e., and basically, at least is what the transactions have happened in the past. meaning they can't just show up on a Pinole street and just sit out there on a Tuesday afternoon. They have to be associated with a farmer's market or a Little League or a birthday party or something of that nature for them to be able to use. They don't have free reign of, quote, city streets. And we don't have an ordinance that even allows them on private property. The only thing, and of course, when the new laws came out regarding food vendors and mobile food vendors and carts and all that, was that it's different though if a food truck is associated with a restaurant, i.e. Tina's. So Tina has a restaurant, and basically that food truck is basically an extenuation of her restaurant, is what the law has said. So that we can't really stop. However, Dave's lobster truck, which is not associated with a restaurant or any of that nature, can't just show up on a Tuesday afternoon at lunchtime over at Appian Village and park for 2 hours and do that. Okay. So and we don't have, or they can't. Dave's lobster truck can't go on private property either. So because it's mobile, so it's not. Yeah. So we've been trying to work on an ordinance that would allow or would modify or regulate food trucks. However, we just haven't been successful in doing that. So we know it's an issue. We know that it's come up a number of times with Uptown Yard. It's come up a number of times with just people that want to come in and park in the downtown, for lunch. So it's becoming an issue where we really need to take a look at it and be ready for it when it comes in.
Okay, thank you for the clarification on that. Mm-hmm. And then I did have a question on condition 6.
Uh-huh.
So I also was a little just wanted some clarification. So just
Dave, can you go to condition 6, please?
I believe that would be one slide after.
Yeah, there we go.
So then, no more than 7 food vendors.
Right.
And that's kind of including trucks, including. Well, I guess it can include trucks.
No, it's food vendors that usually come on. Usually that would be on site. So, for example, if Pear Street, okay, actually, yeah, I could use Pear Street. Let's say Pear Street wanted a booth in the Uptown Yard event. Then they would have a booth. So it'd be like 7 different vendors that way. So that's kind of how, and based on the site plan, based on what she's proposed in terms of the new site plan, 7 was a good number. Also, because of the requirements that Contra Costa County puts on those booths, I know they're pretty tough. They're pretty, and stuff. And so she'll probably want to have more retail vendors than food vendors anyway. So in this regard, but we wanted to increase it because she was adding a lot more spaces in terms of retail and those uses. So that's why we increased it from 4 to 7. So I think she has like 10 on there right now. So that's kind of how we did on that.
Okay, sounds good. That's all my questions for staff. Are there any more questions from the commission? Perfect. And now we'll open up the public hearing on this item. Would the applicant like to make a presentation in support?
Yeah, if you want.
First, I want to thank you for listening to my project. And David, thank you so much for putting the project together. I unfortunately didn't bring any slides. But Uptown Yard has been very grassroots. It started very, very slow with 1 or 2 vendors and just volunteers, and it's grown a little bit more. And so have several retail vendors that are mom and pops. They have full-time jobs, but they come and they want to increase their income. And they've really developed a following here in Pinole, which is really great. All of us together, we've actually made a presence. So we just want to continue this journey with little micro business community that we're forming. And the hour changes seem to give us more time to prepare and more time for these events. And taking it a little slow, but it's building up so that I'm leaving the yard open so that there's flexibility to change and morph into more things so that as we grow, we can expand and let it grow organically. In the future, I do see a vision of having a brick and mortar, but sort of like a mixed use. Hopefully we can achieve that within a few years. But having these businesses to start and anchor themselves there can help to spearhead something more solid. I want to go back to the food vendor, the mobile food vendors, is that it's actually difficult to find food vendors that want to come and set up at the yard simply because the pandemic has changed the structure of how food vendors and mobile vendors and restaurants operate now. They are constantly on the run, sort of basically they are not positioned in one place because they look for bigger cities and where they can have better turnout or a really good turnout. Otherwise, they don't want to move their truck. The fees for a food vendor with the county is pricier, and it's a lot more work to set up the the booth. Imagine vending, putting up a booth. You have to bring in help. You've got to have 2 or 3 hours to set up, cook, set up everything, and then sit down. So the reason that food vendors will actually try to get a mobile is so that they can save some time and energy in getting their food truck. Also, they save money with the permits. It's such a hassle to get the permits. I get the permits for the vendors every quarter, and that allows them 25 days in that quarter to operate at one location. So it has been a struggle. I don't have a lot of success bringing in the food vendors because it's just too hard for them. So I do want to implore everyone to just definitely look at it that angle so that we can get more food vendors over here. I really see the food truck or the mobile vendors as a part of promoting and bringing in their own client into a city. It's now that they actually develop a following. So wherever they go for a few hours, they bring in their own clients because they have a following. So yeah, I if you have any questions, I'm free to answer them.
Thank you. We'll do questions for the public, and then we'll come back for questions from the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any comments in support of this item?
Doesn't look like anyone's online at the moment.
All right, so then we do we have any comments in opposition?
No comments.
No comments in opposition. Going back to the commission for questions to the applicant, this time I'll start to my left with Commissioner Lamb-Gillian. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do not at the time. Thank you.
Commissioner Huey?
No questions, but thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bender?
No questions.
Commissioner Butch?
No questions.
Vice Chair Menace, any questions?
2 questions. First, does the public hearing need to be closed before we ask questions of the applicant?
No.
Okay, wasn't sure about that. And secondly, I noted on the final page of the agenda packet, so page number 96 of 96, the second diagram you had there, marketplace/workshops. You noted several workshops, a stage, a few vendors. When you have workshop noted there, are you talking like industrial manufacturer of goods on site? Are you saying like more artisan scale workshops? What does workshop mean here?
Workshop like a planting workshop, workshop. We've had a art on campus, little mom, call it Mother's Day potting workshop for kids. What else do we have? What did she call it? I forgot. It was a bead soup workshop. Just kids who come in and want to make their bracelets, just little creative art and crafts workshops, things like that we do at the yard.
Okay, so more like educational workshops or seminars rather than construction workshops.
Yeah.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. And is there anyone online for any other comment on this?
Still no one online right now.
All right. Going back to the conditions that we would like to change, are there any comments on the conditions that
Mr. Chair, if I may interrupt, you may want to close the public hearing at this point. If there's nobody online, there's nobody, we can go ahead and close the public hearing.
All right, I'll officially close the public hearing. Yeah, for formality's sake, yes. Going back to the commission, any on the conditions, any comments before we try to make a motion?
I have one comment.
Yes, please go ahead.
So on page 91 of 96, regarding the, this is related to, condition 23 in terms of information, especially on public transportation stops. Looking at the language, information presented, you'll see under public transportation, quote, Hercules Transit Center is 1.7 miles from 2337 San Pablo and accessible by train. I think the information there is incorrect because I don't know a timeline where I can access the area by BART. I wish, but I think it should be more accurately be by bus, because the Hercules Transit Center is mostly a bus center serviced by WestCat. And in terms of getting to Uptown, most of the transit routes, I think for clarification is important, is by bus, specifically by WestCat. And especially during the hours change, I think it's important to note that at least 4 of the bus routes will be active, especially for Thursdays and Fridays, when the JR and let me have my notes written. The JL/JR and JPX run through the by Uptown along San Pablo. That's important to note, especially public transit users who would like to visit Uptown. That's important information to clearly state. On the weekends, it's operated by different schedule in terms of by the 19, which is mostly for Saturday. And I'm sorry, for at least for Thursday and Fridays, be by C3. I just think just the information here should be updated and accurate for transit users who seek to visit the area. In terms of because I look on the website for Uptown real quick, and it does say it's a bit confusing on take BART to Hercules Transit Station and bus line JR and JL/JR lines. I think that should be changed for more clear and accurate information to you can get to here, right? Let's just say this area to Uptown from BART by specifically taking WestCast bus routes. Should be more clear on that. Because for readers who read this, especially people who want to take transit or are new, it could be a bit confusing of wait, BART to Hercules. I think it should just be changed to that.
Thank you.
More accuracy. And then another comment is just, I think there should be an alternate path recommended in terms of take bicycle path northeast I-80 bikeway / San Pablo Avenue towards Fernandez. I would recommend anyone who wants a bike, especially if they're new, to not take that, because I'm going to be honest, most people on San Pablo are going 60 miles per hour. Like, it's pretty much a highway at this point. So a better alternate route for people who want to take active transportation would be taking the trail, the Bay Trail, actually. It's actually a good alternate route. You can go around there. At least from Uptown, you can go down Tennant, and then from there, it connects to the trail. There's also a nice trail from Fernandez Park that also connects easily to Uptown, and then that also connects to the Bay Trail. I would put that as a other alternate route for people who wish to cycle. But besides that, that's all the comments I have.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on this side? Yes, Commissioner Huey.
Thank you. On page 13 of the agenda packet, when we go to the very bottom, it says conditions with minor issues, and we spell out which condition numbers they are. And when we go on page 14 of the packet, the first condition is stated as condition 1, but I believe that's supposed to be condition 5 for schedule. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that should be condition 5.
Okay, thank you.
Schedule. Okay.
All right. Any other comments? Okay.
I'll comment.
ahead.
No one said anything about these proposed site plan revisions. I'll make some comments on that. I'm glad the applicant is looking at some metal pergolas as opposed to wood. Frankly, I've seen, because of other issues here in town, I've been kind of paying attention to little outdoor eating areas that were set up in COVID. And I've just noticed a lot of the ones that are wood aren't aging well. And that's partially because most people will build them out of Douglas fir, which doesn't really age that well. So I'm really heartened to see that you're looking at some metal pergolas. In addition to having one that's your stage, you're sort of emphasizing and doing that one in wood. But I have no issue with this. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Yes, I'm very much in support of this item. I did want to try to get them to move this forward. The one thing on some of, I believe, is condition 6 that we have noted, just some clarity on simplification in the language for condition 6, so we could just clarify it to have moving to 7 food vendors on site and not complicate too much the language.
Okay, can we go to
that would be
condition 6,
condition
Dave?
16.
I want to make sure we get,
Or 6. Sorry, condition 6.
yeah, condition 6. Go back to the, there we go. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Okay, so how would you like that to read?
I would know more than, there should be no more than 7 food. I think just clarifying food vendors on site between so it's not just food and non-food truck vendors. I do kind of agree that can be a little bit confusing.
Okay.
So I think just 7 food vendors
Okay.
on site would probably be a little bit more clear for
That's fine.
people.
Okay.
Any other conditions that the commission would like to modify? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
I actually have a question that came up while I was looking through the conditions again. For condition number 5, and if we could go back to that slide. Thank you. So the existing condition has asterisk saying hours may change during daylight savings time, et cetera. The new condition doesn't appear to have that. Will that actually change anything?
Yes, it will change that.
So
That's part of the schedule. So that's part of the new conditions as you can see this as part of the schedule. So that will change.
So you're saying that it's supposed to be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in standard time and daylight savings time, or in both?
It's both. It's just 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So whether it's daylight savings, whether it's Pacific Standard, it's 9 to 9.
Okay, so the asterisk bit is no longer necessary.
Yeah, that will go away.
Okay, that was the big thing I wanted to clear up. So let me just double check to make sure I got everything addressed through questions earlier, though I think I mostly did. And just as a minor point to staff, for documents with this much raw paper, it would be helpful to have some staples, I think. I know that there used to be staples in agenda packets in the past, but there haven't been for a little while now.
We'll get that. We'll get that down. We'll get that in.
Okay, so the comment I had was with regards to condition number 19, I believe. And if we could go to the relevant slide.
Number 19? Number
No, it wasn't 19. I got the numbering wrong. Number
16?
16, yes.
16. Okay.
The amplified event one.
Okay.
Basically changing the wording there to be if an unapproved amplified music event occurs rather than if the amplified music event is not approved.
Yeah. You got that, Justin? Yeah, okay.
So is that particular modification acceptable to the commission?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I'd like to also thank Commissioner Ooch for highlighting the public transit points on Exhibit A of page 91, noting that, the document was originally from the pandemic era because that's when that particular section of the packet was created, but it would be worthwhile to have that information be updated. I definitely agree on that point. Do we need to make modifications to condition number 23 with regards to that? So that's on page 34 of 96 of the agenda packet, page 11 of 17 of the conditions of approval.
What were you thinking about modifying?
It sounded like, if I understood Commissioner Uch's concern correctly, that the part of the problem with the information was that it was outdated and some of the information was inaccurate. And this condition doesn't appear to have particular requirements with regards to timeliness or accuracy or updating of the information in the maps. It just says, provide clearly visible information in maps and incorporate information in marketing materials and project-related web pages where possible. Now, I know there's First Amendment concerns around questions about the exact language used, but would it be possible to change it to, say, update information annually, maybe, or something along those lines, so there isn't outdated public transit information that members of the public at the site are looking at, and they're like, oh, this line comes through here at this time, and then they go there and the bus doesn't show up because actually that line got canceled or it got rescheduled 3 years ago or so on.
I think we need to be careful on that. I think that's up to the business owner to make sure that those information is accurate. I don't know how much we can require that they. We're just requiring that they provide the information. If we're assuming that we're hoping that it's accurate because it will help their business. So I would probably, if the commission wanted to change that condition or modify that condition, because it does say that provide maps inside the site. So they're looking at, so that's actually at the place of business, not necessarily on the website, right? So when you read the condition, it says the owner shall provide clearly visible information and maps inside the site regarding the location of Old Town parking lots and public transportation stops. The owner should also incorporate parking and transit information in marketing materials and project-related web pages and where possible. So the part where it says the owner should also incorporate parking and transit information in marketing materials, that's on the property owner to do that and to make sure it's accurate. I mean, if you want to include accurate, I mean, the question I'm gonna pose is, let's say you review this in 2 years and her information is accurate. Are you going to recommend to revocate the conditional use permit because she doesn't have accurate information? Maybe she doesn't have the up-to-date information. So you just need to be careful on this one in terms of accurate. We are saying that the property owner needs to provide this information because she might not even have marketing materials. So if she doesn't have marketing materials, then she's not going to have this information to begin with. So I think that since we have the owner here, she understands that she needs to have correct information. If the information is not correct, and I appreciate Commissioner Uch's pointing that out, that she probably needs to go back into her marketing stuff and her site plans to rectify that and find out what the correct information is.
I definitely don't want to have my potential customers get lost.
Yeah.
Definitely want them to come to their destination at Uptown Yard, so I'll make the correction.
Yeah, if I'll chime in on this, I do think we should also be wary with the condition of approval. I think me personally, if the applicant understands just that the information just needs to be updated, then that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if how the commission feels about that, or did we want to actually modify?
I agree with that. I'm against the government overreach, frankly. And that's what it would be.
I would just say I think it's just a relatively minor comment, something that could easily be changed because the information of transit information is publicly available. It's nothing too difficult or something of a big deal. You could always look up WestCat and you can just find the maps that they post that is up to date and that is the most clear and primary source you can get. That's not much or difficult to ask for.
Okay.
Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
So I guess in response to Commissioner Bender's comment, it seems like the initial overreach is the condition itself, saying that we're already requiring the owner to provide clearly visible information and maps inside the site itself. It's not a should there, it's a shall for the first clause regarding the location of Old Town parking lots and public transportation stops. So we're already saying you must, as a condition of being able to run your business at this site, provide this information. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm having a hard time seeing why saying, and that information should also be updated at some frequency. I'm not going to say, daily or anything like that, but just saying there should be some concrete thing in there saying if you're going to provide this information, if the city's requiring you to provide that information, but it also reflects on us, right? So just saying it needs to be accurate. I don't see how accuracy is an overreach compared to the existing imposition of the condition in the first place.
Yeah, and I can go back to the history. The history on this is because this was in the downtown, so they wanted to include downtown parking lots, downtown transit stops. That was the main purpose. Where they all go, that's up to the applicant. That's up to the people going to the event or leaving the event. But that's where that one. And we wanted to make sure that, and the commission back then wanted to make sure that they shall do that, to at least provide something on site that allows them to find how to get in and out of that area. And then the owner should also incorporate parking and transit information in marketing materials. Basically, that's just saying that if you do provide marketing materials, that you should incorporate the parking and transit information. I think what the main thing is the parking lots and the public transportation stops, not routes, not this route connects to that route, but if she has something in her place of business where it needs to be, and this is part of the transportation demand model, the transportation demand management plan that usually we require all businesses to have something to do with transportation management, demand management. So it just allows them to know where the lots are and where the spots are, how they get there, where they get there. That's on the person that's going there. And as long as the stops are accurate, which in the downtown hasn't much really changed. It's changed everywhere else, but in the downtown they've pretty much kind of have pretty solid. So she needs to have those. She needs to have that within her business. And if she does, the second reason the owner should also incorporate parking and transit information and marketing materials. So basically, what this condition is saying is that she needs to have information regarding the Old Town parking lots and bus stops within the area. That's what. And if she's going to incorporate it into her marketing materials, that she needs to outline where the downtown parking lots are, the Old Town parking lots, and the public transportation stops, not the routes, the stops. So that's what's being asked as part of this condition. So that she needs to apply. The one at the site needs to be there. So when we go and take a look, you need to have something there that shows a map or something that shows all the downtown parking lots. And if you need help with that, staff has a number of maps that can be used for downtown parking lots, because most of the parking lots are run by the city in the downtown for the most part, or the cities have easements over them. So when I read 23, that's how I read it. That's my interpretation of what that means. So because we can't tell people how to get there, they have to find their own route.
Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yeah, so definitely focusing on lots and stops probably needs modification a lot less than routes because they're less likely to change. But as Plant Manager Hannum noted, stops can change. So let's say WestCat decides to get rid of some stops in downtown, or maybe even all the stops in downtown, depending on funding cuts.
Right.
What would the obligation under the condition as it exists now be to the applicant?
Based on how I read that, is that she's got to have the maps regarding the Old Town parking lots and public transport. So she needs to update those as necessary, and that's on her. In terms of the marketing materials, whether she incorporates those or not, that's up to her. If she does incorporate it, hopefully she's putting accurate information in her marketing materials to show that. I don't think there's a problem with that in accuracy, or at least I would, if you're going to do something like that, I would amend it to say that periodically they need to update information regarding, and leave it kind of as vague as possible, but at least gives you at least an ability to, periodically you need to take a look at where the stops are and the parking lots to make sure they're all in the same spot. And we'll know that by when we review, because staff reviews all of the, these. So she'll need to have that. She'll need to have that in accurate information there. I mean, she'll need to have that just so that people can know where to get to parking lots and spaces. So, but if you want to add accurate or periodically needs to be upgraded, or, you can do that. I mean, if the commission wants to amend the condition, they can. So that's all within your prerogative.
I must say it is in the downtown. I mean, can't miss it. There's a parking lot behind the space.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Huey.
I agree with my colleagues. I don't think that we don't need to micromanage the applicant on this specific condition. I do want to acknowledge your concern, Vice Chair, and I'm wondering if that can be satisfied by condition 43. Perhaps it can be upon the responsibility of the commission during the one-year review to inquire with the applicant whether or not condition 23 has been met.
I guess my concern is that if we're not modifying condition number 23, then, well, yes, it has been met because there's a sign there whether it's accurate or not. Like, I agree that condition 43, assuming we keep it as it is now, creates the necessary structure for periodic review, but the current wording of the condition doesn't create a hook for that review, if I'm reading it correctly.
So let me, if there is language that you want to add to the condition, you need to propose that language, and then the commission would vote on that language as part of
Right,
the
so
process.
I'll go ahead and make a motion in that case. I would move that condition number 23 be amended to read, the owner shall provide clearly visible current information and maps inside the site regarding the location of Old Town parking lots and public transportation stops. Is current sufficiently clear, or do we need to use a more narrow descriptor?
If I may, my suggestion, if we wanted to add something to that, to modify that condition, I would just add a simple sentence at the end. Information should be checked regularly for accuracy.
Checked by the applicant, by the city?
By the applicant.
So it would read the same, and then the applicant shall check information regularly for accuracy.
Yes.
I'd be willing to accept that phrasing if staff thinks that would be a.
Yeah, it's just up to the commission. I'm just here to write it down and make sure we have it in the minutes and in the conditions. So if that's
Would that be manageable for the applicant?
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I'd rather have something vague. I mean, I'll do everything to have my customers, I mean, it's my business, so I want everyone to come and not get lost, like I said. But holding it over my head to be accurate on the stops when I don't really take public transportation, and those people who take transportation are the ones that actually know more than I do. They know the routes, they know where downtown Pinole is. I mean, I could have a map and recommend take public transportation, take the Bay Trail, but it's just to always continually check. It seems a little bit overly, because I don't know what line. Like, I can recommend, but if there's a new line that comes out,
No, we're not. All is required is just the parking lots and the stops. No routes. So basically, that would be two maps that you would have to. One map would be the West Cat map.
Okay.
That just shows the stops. If you had a map of the West Cat stops, even if you had all the routes, the map that they have for their routes,
okay.
and put that within your establishment, you've covered the condition.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to maybe just explicitly reference the West Cat map then? Say, display the latest West Cat map?
Well, what if West Cat goes away?
What did you say?
Or new transit system.
Yeah. There's BART.
I think we can leave it vague for public transportation, and that we're all under the understanding at this point is basically a map of the downtown parking lots and a map of West Cat. That's what that is.
Okay.
And as long as it's posted somewhere in your site, then we're good. And then you might want to check it once in a while and make sure that it's still accurate, mainly for the stops. The routes, I haven't seen them change. Well, they have, even though they've changed stops, the buses still go the same way, which I find interesting. But because they have a couple stops on Appian that they don't stop at anymore, but yet they drive by it every day. So it's kind of interesting how that works. But so it would just be making sure just a periodic update of that map. That's all it would be. And then if you, if the commission is open to this, If you wanted to put a time frame on it, you can kind of load it onto staff in the sense that, we're going to be out there checking it every year anyway. So as part of the review or update, if you keep condition 43, so if you want to add something that staff will.
I could add it onto the website, and that'll be easier to update.
Yeah, that's really all you really kind of need to do as part of your marketing materials and your website and all that kind of stuff. And you'd need a physical copy on your site, which you could print out from, that kind of stuff. So, and if the commission would like to add language to that, they could. What Chair Sandoval said at the end, maybe that's something that you want to add. If you want to add another word similar to Vice Chair Menace, that's fine too, because we'll have to review it anyway. And when it comes back to staff to go review, and that's a condition that was checked, and just like I did this time.
So hypothetical questions. Just what if I say, don't take public transportation? All of you clients, I want you to take Uber or Lyft. What happens then?
You could put up that sign,
Yeah.
but the condition says you also have to, the condition as it currently reads says you have to have at least clearly visible, whatever that means,
Right.
information and maps inside the site regarding the location of Old Town parking lots and public transportation stops. So that's separate from your website, your marketing materials, whatever.
Yeah, I can help you out with that. I've seen it in your site. You have it. You probably just don't know. I've seen it, so I'll work with you on that with that. So
Great,
that's not a
thank you.
problem.
Okay.
Okay.
And then also, just to reply briefly to one of your comments, I think that the intent behind this particular clause wasn't necessarily for, the people who know how transit works, but for the people who maybe show up at the site driving a car but think, oh, hey, maybe I'd like to try transit next time, but I don't know where to look. Having that as sort of an easy reference or a wayfinding. Same with the parking lots. So the parking lots, I think, are a bit more obvious.
I do love the fact that you can take, and thank you for informing me about the Bay Trail. I think that's awesome for people who bike. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I agree with Planning Manager Hannum. I don't necessarily think that we need to modify. I think we're just all under the understanding that, as long as the information's accurate, I think that's okay. Or
I'm sorry, but Chair Sandoval, if I recall correctly, you made us some suggested language? I don't recall the exact wording.
did I suggested the language in case the commission wanted to take that up, but me personally, I would not want to modify it. If you have a motion, feel free to indulge in one.
All right, then. I move that condition number 23 be modified to read, the owner shall provide clearly visible information and maps inside the site regarding the location of Old Town parking lots and public transportation stops. It will be the responsibility of staff to confirm the accuracy of this information on an annual basis. The owner should also incorporate parking and transit information in marketing materials and project-related websites where possible.
Do we have a second? We do not have a second on the motion. The motion fails.
All right.
All right. Going back to the conditions of approval as a whole, I would actually like to make a motion approving Resolution 2603. Hold on, give me one sec. I'd like to make a motion approving Planning Commission Resolution 2603 with two modifications. Condition of approval number 6, clarifying the food vendor on-site language, and condition number 16, clarifying language on unapproved music. Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Before we do that, if I can interject briefly here, Chair Sandoval, do we still want to keep condition 43, the 1-year review every year?
I'm okay with removing it.
Because I want to check in on that, because right now your motion says we're keeping it.
You know what? Let's also remove 40. I'll modify my motion to also remove condition 43. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Planning Manager Hannon, could we please have a roll call?
Okay. So as I understand this correctly, I want to make sure the motion and everything. So all the conditions that were up on the screen, those were all modified. You're accepted with except with the new changes that was mentioned as part of the motion, right?
Yes. So the conditions that we're changing are 6, 16, and 43. With the modifying 6 and 16, and then removing 43.
Okay. Okay. All right. Commissioner Uch,
Yes.
Commissioner Huey,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian,
Yes.
Commissioner Bender,
Yes.
Vice Chair Menace,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandoval,
Yes.
or Chair Sandoval, I apologize. Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And with that, any person may appeal the action of the Planning Commission, or the Planning Man can appeal this decision within 10 days following the public hearing. City Council may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the decision of the Planning Commission. The cost of appeal a decision is $500 with a $2,500 deposit fee. If anyone would like to appeal this decision in court, anyone would be limited to raising only the issues that were brought up here tonight. To the City Council, the Planning Commission meeting or the public hearing. And with that, we'll move on to, we do not have any old business tonight, and we do not have any new business tonight. That will take us to our city plan. Yes, thank you for bearing with us. That will take us to our planning manager report. Planning Manager Hannum, do you have anything that you would like to report today?
At this particular point, just want to update you. We are in the process of getting a demo permit for the Kmart. I can say that now, right? Yeah. So we're in the process of getting that.
Well, everybody knows now.
Exactly. So, and we're also working with, just to let you know that the Pinole Shore Shoe project, the owners are putting their building plans together, and hopefully their architect resigned or retired, and so they had to go with a new group, and so they're in the process of getting that design. So hopefully we'll get those here in the next 6 to 8 weeks, and get that project started. We're still working with the AP and 80, and we're working on getting that item from the commission on the agenda. So I'll be needing to meet with Chair Sandoval to go over that presentation, and when we get that going, in terms, of course, you see the progress that's being made on Appian Village. So they're moving forward with their buildings. So they've got 5 buildings in, I think. They're building the first 3. So, and they're working. They just submitted their stuff for their sales trailer, or their not sales trailer, but their sales office that they're going to have. So they're moving forward. The staff is working on a number of different projects regarding some park projects, and still working on the post office project with some property issues, not property issues, but title issues. So we're working on those, and so yeah, we're just continuing moving forward. So if you have any questions of any projects or have any questions of staff, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Thank you, Planning Manager Hannum. Does anyone on the commission have any questions on the report? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
You mentioned, I think, title issues with the post office lot. Could you clarify on that?
Yeah, basically we have a parcel that we've had probably for since 1857 or 1877, and there's some deed. I mean, we own the property. We own the property? However, we just got to find some transfer deeds that show that it was transferred from the tenant family to us. So that's and be able to put that on there. So we're working on that. But we're probably going to have a lot line adjustment come your way here very shortly, probably in the next you did the parcel map for the property over on Pinole Valley Road. You'll have another one because we're selling that piece of property. So you'll have a general plan conformity and make sure the sale is in conformance with the general plan as well. So there'll be a lot line adjustment that will be, normally a lot line adjustment wouldn't come to you. That's a total administrative act. It's just amending 2 lot lines. However, because there's the sale of the property, that's the reason why it's coming to the commission, so that you'll approve the sale of the property. The sale of the property is actually in conformance with the general plan. So we hopefully will have that to you here in about another month. Get that forward, move forward, and then yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with the post office. And then I forgot, Justin, do you have anything? Okay. So yeah. So other than that, that's all I have on that.
Microphone.
Hey, the lot line adjustment on Pinole Valley Road, is it the apartment where they were building behind that one or no?
No. No, this is on the post office, not Pinole.
Oh.
Not Pinole Vista. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. They did a lot line. In fact, though, they did a lot line adjustment because they had to adjust some lots. But we did that administratively because there was no change to the size there was no changing in the number of parcels. So they just did a lot line adjustment because they owned all the property. They own all the properties.
Yes, Commissioner Bender.
I'm just curious, does community development have any sense of whether the owners of the 80 shopping center, are they trying to lease the spaces or anything?
From our understanding is we're trying to meet with them quarterly, and they are looking at leasing the properties. They have informed us that they are moving forward with that. They've just kind of secured the site. We've had some code enforcement issues out there, so they've been busy doing that. As you know, they've just added the new camera set. I don't know if you've seen it in the parking lot, all new cameras and all that. They had a break in up on the roof, went through and did some damage in there. So they cleaned all that up. They added new cameras and stuff. So yeah, they are actively recruiting. It's just we haven't seen anything yet.
Thank you.
Any results? Thank you.
Just to follow up to that, they're recruiting to lease out the current building.
That I'm not quite. They haven't really told us what they want to do with the old building yet at this particular point. Whether it's a demo, whether they want to add additional buildings to the site, whether they want to modify the existing building, that's still all up in the air, depending on the tenant they recruit. So yeah. But we're trying to work with them to get idea of what they want to do there, and they're getting closer, but they're just not there yet. So at least that's what we've been told.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Thank you. And do we have any public comment on this item?
Yeah, I do see a hand raised online now. It's a caller with the phone number ending in 5748. So when you're ready, please press *6 to unmute.
Thank you. And the time allowed, please go ahead whenever you're ready. The time allowed is 5 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, yes. My name's Anthony Offspring, longtime resident, taxpayer, senior citizen of Pinole over 50 years. Just wanted to follow up on a couple past questions that were supposed to be followed up with some of the city staffers with the input of Mr. Hannum, Mr. Frankie Martinez, and myself. Do you have any new update on what the city is or isn't going to do with those 2 bridge crossover flooring planks that are all rotted out, with 2 or 3 boards on each property are rotted out between the senior center and Fernandez Park, as well as the one between the Pinole Dog Park and the soccer field. Has somebody communicated that? Because we haven't heard anything back from the city council or public works or one of their managers as to what they're doing, and it's still on the bottom of their to-do list or not on their list at all because nothing has been done. We're talking months now, if not going on almost over a year, as far as that being addressed, and then the follow-up with the large breach on the Pinole Creek between the bowling alley and Sprouts there, with the County Flood Control District that gave a presentation, and is someone following up with that as well to get them to remediate that or to shore up the breach so it doesn't take down the sidewalk and part of the parking lot and then shame on somebody. And then as far as the corner property, the old Union 76 gas station property next to the security storage building and Pinole High School, people have asked, there was an old existing Union 76 gas station there owned by Frank, I forget his last name, but could part of the problem be that property has to be reworked because there was an old giant gasoline tank buried under that property, or was that already remediated and taken out of the property, and or will the new tenant, if we ever get one, will be subject to having to pay for the removal of the gasoline tank and then pass some kind of special code inspections. And then also with regard to the library closure in Pinole, two issues. Do you know if the city is getting credited with the lease agreement that they made with Contra Costa Library for some $300,000 a year that I believe, or close to that the city of Pinole was responsible for helping to keep the library open, because they're going to close in March for a whole year. And I was wondering where that money is going, or if there's anybody stepped up to the plate, because no one has said anything about it. And then on a related note, the closure of that library and the renovation, they didn't say anything about reopening like last month or last year or this year, the reopening of the two bathrooms outside on the corner of that library building. That is the city's responsibility or the library's responsibility. And if that was an existing public restroom, aren't they violating some code because they're not allowing public access to existing outdoor restroom bathrooms that serve both the tennis court parks people as well as the library? And can't the city council get together with Andrea Dwyer and get those bathrooms reopened? Because I heard that was the big problem, that they had different ideas or views on whether to open it and or close it. And it was between Devin Murphy and Andrea Dwyer, and they couldn't get on the same page to serve the public to reopen those two bathrooms.
Your time is up. Please wrap up your comment.
The parking lot. And do you know anything about Dave's Hot Chicken with all the cluttering of they added 2 more outdoor tables, and I think that's a code violation, or the outdoor.
Thank you for your comment, but your time is now up. I'm sorry that some of the city departments have not been responsive to you. I would highly encourage you to go to the city council and voice your concerns to them, and to follow up with the library concerns, the other concerns that were noted as well. I hope that they can get back to you and resolve that soon. Planning Manager Hannum, are you able to respond to some of the other planning related comments that the constituent had mentioned?
Yeah, we're working with Dave's Hot Chicken. We understand they need to do they need to do an administrative use permit for those outdoor dining tables. So we have code enforcement. You'll just see those tables start to be removed here fairly shortly without their until they apply for an administrative use permit for outdoor dining.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments on the report? Yes.
No other comments online.
Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on Mr. Vosbrink's comment with regards to the former Union 76 site. Does the city know whether the site needs remediation or if it has been remediated already?
At this point, we don't know of any remediation that's needed on that site. Usually the underground storage tanks are usually taken out after they've taken down all the stations, or taken down all the canopies and all the pumps and all that. Usually and it's not on any sites, at least in my knowledge. So the site is ready to be developed. We will require a soils report when the property develops, just to make sure that they don't have it, but it's my understanding that the underground tank's been taken out, and that it hasn't been an issue with regarding leaks and that kind of stuff. So, at least at this point. So.
And with regards to the bathrooms on the outside corner of the library, would that be a public works question or county question, or who should?
That's either public community services or public works.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on the city planners report? All right, are there any commissioners that have anything to report out? All right, that will take us to communications. Are there any communications from the commission? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, I have a few communications on upcoming events in the city this week. So first off, tomorrow from 10 to 11 at the Senior Center, there's going to be the Senior Food Program distribution. You need to fill out an application either online at pinole.gov/seniors or at the Senior Center itself. And you should bring your own bag with you because they're shifting over to a choice method. On Wednesday, the 25th, there's going to be a Community Service Commission meeting at 5 p.m., which is going to be hybrid. On Saturday, the 28th, there's going to be a protest from 11 a.m. to noon at the intersection of 10 and San Pablo Avenues. And also on the 28th at Pinole Library from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., there's going to be a celebration of the library before its closure on March 1st. And that's all my communications for this week.
Any other commissioners have any communications? Any public comments?
No comments right now.
All right, and our next scheduled Planning Commission meeting is on March 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. And with that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.